Welcome to TwoQuestions.tv. My guest today is Tarra Mitchell, and we're talking about a new way of thinking about leadership. Welcome to TwoQuestions.tv. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe. Joining me today is Tarra Mitchell, who's practiced yoga for over 20 years, and she's studied extensively with master yoga teachers and private mentors. She has an MBA in international finance and German. What an interesting combination. And has had an investment career directing billion-dollar fundraising events and developing relationships all around the world. She's also the author of this book, The Yoga of Leadership, a practical guide to health, happiness, and inspiring total team engagement. Hi, Tarra. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me on, Susan.
I really enjoyed your book, and I thought it was an interesting approach to leadership. I loved how you connected it so clearly at the end of each section with a list of questions that I found super, super useful. So the book is this very centered approach to leadership, this very holistic view. And I wondered if you might talk a little bit about why and how you first connected yoga to leadership, why that made sense to you.
Thanks. That's a great question. I found during my yoga teacher trainings that I was learning a lot of things. I was on, let's say, a temporary hiatus from my investment work, and I immersed myself into these yoga teacher trainings more because I wanted to enhance my own yoga practice, not necessarily because I wanted to be a teacher. And it seemed like the best way to do that. So I'm in the middle of this teacher training, and all of a sudden I was learning all of these things and discovering things about myself. And I said, you know what, this is just making me better. It's making me a better person, better at everything. And I had a phone call with a friend of mine who was also from the investment field. And I told him this experience in yoga was making me a better leader. Mm-hmm. And he was a little mystified by what I was talking about. And I knew it was true. And so one of the missions for the book, in a way, was for me to fully understand that myself and then communicate it in a book context, because in a way that I thought would resonate with other folks that were out there working, weren't necessarily always in yoga studios and didn't actually practice as well as I did.
It's really interesting, and I think it's genius and absolutely a brilliant idea to connect the two. I have always found that yoga makes me a better leader, and certainly as someone who I just run tense, and so so I think doing yoga always makes me feel a little more centered, balanced, calm, and so let's say someone's watching this show or listening to the podcast. Maybe they've been super stressed out, they're working too hard. They're an old school kind of leader. While they're waiting for their book to arrive, what should they do to get started? What is something they can do to really jump in, or let's say dip a toe in?
Well, let's say I think what we're coming back to is that yoga, as I explained in my book, it's first of all, it's a holistic modality, but it's really about the mind. And so we're trying to center ourselves. And so what I would offer that person as a very easy dip your toe in way to begin to, I guess, become more centered yourself is to do a 10 breathing exercise, a 10 breath breathing exercise. I discuss this in my book under centering, and there's a whole host of, it's called pranayama, breathing practices in the yoga tradition.
I love those. I was so glad to have those explained really clearly finally.
Thank you. And they all evoke an emotional response, and our emotional response then affects our mental response. And so what we're doing when we're breathing deeply, a long, thin inhale followed by a long, thin exhale, is we're helping to cultivate a sense of calm. And if you simply do this before you're completely crazed, I mean, you can't be in a panic attack state and expect to breathe 10 breaths and something's going to change. But on an everyday basis, if you spend a little bit of time once in a while, when you feel yourself teetering, just close your eyes, sit quietly, take 10 long, thin, deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling fully. And you will discover by the end of the 10th, you will start to identify with a felt sense of your nervous system and a felt sense of what calm feels like. And that's just planting a seed for what can then emerge into this new state of being, what you want to be in most of the time for your own health and well-being, and also for your leadership, so that you can be a more discerning leader, a more clear-headed leader, a leader that can operate very thoughtfully and not get crazed by whatever else is going on in the external stimuli around them.
Yeah, I think that's actually great. Those exercises, I've always heard about them, but never fully understood them. And having them outlined so clearly really helped me. I think, and we're going to go into a bonus round here. Occasionally I go rogue. 2 questions, well, maybe 3. I think that the idea of yoga, for me, I've always found it almost a meditative experience. It allows me to calm and center and not think about business for that moment. And it's that clearing of the mind that helps my mind to be, well, clear, so that then the ideas actually come, the solutions come, because I'm not frantically searching for them anymore. I can have more of a presence and be more intentional. I wonder, is that what is it about yoga that makes it so, I mean, I know I've read the book, but I mean, for our viewers, for the uninitiated, what is it about yoga that makes it so powerful and that makes it have such a strong impact on the rest of our lives?
Well, I will give you a little, I'll call it a use case scenario. It's a little thread that I taught in a workshop recently that it just gives a little idea of what is happening in an actual yoga class. And let's talk about the physical practice, because a lot of people still identify yoga with the physical mat practice, even though it's actually what's going on with the mind and the rest of you. That's practice. So you don't have to be on a mat, but let's talk about the mat practice. So when you're on the mat practice, what you're doing is you're putting your body into different poses, and this helps release tension in your body. When you release tension, it has a relaxing effect on your nervous system. Once again, we're talking about the nervous system. Plus, you're usually breathing in a certain way that also helps you relax. So you're releasing tension and you're relaxing your nervous system through your breath, both of those things. And this has a calming effect on the mind. This simply allows you to be more present. It quiets the mind. All of the thoughts that were over the course of the class, and I'm sure you've noticed this, the thoughts that were jumping around and these start to move away, and you're just in a quieter place. I call it a more spacious place, and it is a meditative practice, and it puts you into that part of your mind, your what I call the knowledge layer in my book, where you can be more discerning and your mind is quiet and your prefrontal cortex is actually doing its work. The prefrontal cortex requires a little bit of space. So I'm told, I'm not a doctor, but you can't be just reacting in this reaction mode in order for you to be using the most important part of your brain. So that's kind of the path that an actual yoga class can take you through. You can also enter through like an actual seated meditation practice, or simply starting with the breath. Or maybe spending some other quiet time, taking nature walks and really spending time breathing and calming yourself. So there are ways to access this aside from on the mat. This, what I'll call yoga is life, and getting yourself in that place where you can be more clear and discerning and seek out solutions that are creative and different and healthier for you and for others as well.
So interesting. I thought I just, when I got the book, I was like, I'm not sure what this is going to be. Like, I just wasn't sure. But then when I got into it, I'm like, oh, I love this. Yeah, this is everything I believe. This is fantastic. And it's so much more in depth than I have gone myself. And so I really appreciated this book a lot. Really good. Definitely a reference for my desk. So thank you. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, viewers, here's the book. We're going to have links down below so you can find Tarra and also get your copy of the book from Amazon. And if you'd like, you can join us in the after show, which we're going to do now. So you can find that at twoquestions.tv. That's our website. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.